Okay, welcome to our presentation of KIKO, LinkedIn with SavvyDox. So what we're going to do is run a routine of about a dozen slides, and then we'll go into a live demo addressing the subject of interest. So if we look at a little bit of the history, SavvyDox with SiriLab, we're both startup situation in a SaaS offering. So I understand as a client, you are trying to integrate or get SavvyDox evaluated. And what we would like to do is to introduce some of the functionality in SiriLab to give you added functionality to SavvyDox. And the problem we're addressing is the problem of findability. So we'll look at that a little bit. Now, the solution to findability is you need a knowledge base. If you use a document management system and you have keywords, you then need a keyword search engine, which is somewhat cumbersome, but a lot of organizing if you want to find things. So what I'm here to do is to show you a tool that should address finding things in a knowledge base rather than finding it in a document repository. Okay, so I'll introduce you to Discovery, and that's the tool that we use for any kind of discovering more on things that are text. Okay, then after we've seen the demo, we might discuss the migration, how one has to prepare the knowledge base. So we're going to address one given problems with a few functions out of KIKO so that we lead it up to what would be required as far as integrating it into the work environment of your client base. So we'll see exactly what that is. Now I've just copy paste the photo of SavvyDox. If you have the SavvyDox, so imagine that you are using or your client's using SavvyDoc, and the idea being now he wants to do a search or he wants to find quickly or even store information that he's working on right now. So the storage of SavvyDox is left to SavvyDox. If you then want to integrate it into the knowledge base, then there's several functions that we have to go through. And this is what we're going to cover. I'll come back to this similar slide in a minute. But what we do is address the big data, which is text. So imagine any text. We access text, in documents, on websites, blogs, posts, unstructured text records, all kinds of unstructured collections of text. It even goes to the caption on video files if that would be required. So the intent here is if you're mixing all of this text, the system actually builds a semantic indexing capability between all of the text that is in all of these documents. So that's the function of the cube, the knowledge generator. The basis of it is every document is left to express itself. So we'll look at what happens when the speed read product is put to use, what it does to it as it generates a knowledge signature, okay, which identifies the individual document. And then you will see how when you aggregate several documents together, we can generate knowledge maps. And we can use this knowledge signature to actually find anything similar in the knowledge base. So this is a little bit what we'll be looking at in the presentation. So imagine a lot of information automatically being indexed and then ready for users to use and compare and process, obviously. So we're assuming that everybody's sitting at their workstation is going to be using the SavvyDox. In this instance, this is what we're looking at. To prepare the knowledge base, just to give you an indication that there is work to get the knowledge base itself ready for usage in the system. Okay, there's no miracle here. You can do one document at a time. You can start with the system and then keep adding as people use and touch different documents and they add it to the knowledge base. Or you do one project where you process most of all of the documents you would want in that knowledge base. It depends on that. But you'll see shortly that if we want to start next week and install this capability, then once installed, it is ready to start adding to the knowledge base. And this is a little bit what this demo is all about. Again, if I lead you through the different things I just indicated, is you want to read a document. You want to then do, and let me just go back here and get it straight. We'll want to add a clause and go on the internet to find more information similar to that clause, or we want to put that clause in and address it against the knowledge base to see where can I find this this clause in all of the contracts that might be there or the documents that are in the knowledge base. So this is a little bit the function of adding this KIKO to SavvyDox. Okay, so if we go ahead here, and what we've done is we've added 3 triggers to give you the idea of how it would work if installed in SavvyDox to connect with your knowledge base. So I've prepared a little bit of knowledge base to show you how that would work. This first icon indicates that if I click on it, it opens up into KIKO and it says you want to read a file, choose your file. So what we need to do then is to track down, and let me make sure I can find the proper information here. It should be in here somewhere in the documents, test docs here. So if we would select either contract number 1 or contract number 2, which are documents you provided, and you well know that these are 160 to 180 pages. So if I click on it, I add it, as you can see, it added it to, and then if I want to submit it to the knowledge base, then it uploads to the server this document, and then it will analyze it. It will create what we call the knowledge view of the document, give us a knowledge signature so we can navigate to anything in that document. And uploading across the line right now, especially while we're in a Skype environment, then there's a little bit of conflict between the speed at which the IO is adding to the other one. If you do this where an individual would do it real time, then I would say that the response would be 5 to 10 seconds. So what we've got now is it came in with the knowledge view. It's showing us the knowledge signature of the individual document and a synopsis of what we can expect to find in that document. So you can see it's about 1-page synopsis of the 160 or 80 page, depending on which one this was. I can't remember what it was. But that whole document is now there for you to navigate. So you can see here the top 6 concepts in this document are listed right here. So we know that it's employee public service agreement, employer compensation in Canada. So don't know what the document is, but this agreement between Treasury Board and Professional Institute, you know, that's basically what to expect. But if I say expand, now what you see is every one of these topics, concepts are backed up by other concepts. group annual rates, examination group. So this system has selected about 30 concepts that represents that one document. So if you want more concepts, you just go into a setting and ask for more. And you can get up to, let's say 100, 120 concepts associated together. Now, the other thing you can do is take that document and break it apart. And what I did for this presentation is I took that one document and I sectioned off parts of it, not all of it, but parts of it. Let's say 7 or 8 different parts were re-put in the system as individual documents. So if I'm inside the knowledge base right now and there's all kinds of functions there, but I'll avoid that now just to guide you through in this document. If I wanted to see where is grievance procedures discussed, if I click on grievance procedures, there we go. So quickly it gives me every paragraph where this is discussed. So you quickly isolate only the paragraphs where grievance procedures is involved. Okay, now the difference, if you noticed here, grievance is at a higher level. In other words, it wasn't always grievance procedures. It could have been something else. If I ask for everywhere grievance was, there we go. So you can see that now I have a page and a half or 2 pages, so there's definitely more grievance mentioned than the previous grievance procedures. So that's a choice that the user will have as to tracking down the different concepts required. Now, what we're seeing here as a list, we call the natural taxonomy of this document. This is how this document will identify itself and also defend itself. Okay, so you either do it with as many as what we see now, or you could generate more if you wanted to. But as we go, you'll see different usage of that in the system. So what I'm going to do now is go back to my slides. As soon as I find out where are they. Oh, right here. Yeah. There. Now, what that was is how to read and put something into the knowledge base. If I may, and I'm going to have to just end the show and skip to that document. I should have. Come on, where is it? It was in here. So if I go into the reads that we just did, there's our public contract that was added up. If I open that one up, what I should have done when we were looking at the data is I should have highlighted a section data. So if you can imagine, again, it is reprocessing the data from, there we go. So here, what I would like is, I think I'll ask for compensation wherever compensation was in that document, and there it is. So if I have an interest, and let's say this is the clause of interest, a little heavy for a clause, but it doesn't matter in the system. If I say these 3 paragraphs identify what I am looking for, then I can right-click, say copy, and I've just gotten that in the background copy because I have not linked the knowledge base to the server that I'm now working with. So if I go back and go to my slides, in an environment where I'd be looking at SavvyDox, and I want to find now, I want to discover in the database where is a file that represent what I'm looking for. Okay, then it just opens up. Now this is not reads, but we are now in discovery. So in other words, the minute I give it a file, I could take that file and either go through the knowledge base to see if anything there is similar to the file I just gave it. I could go through profiles, and imagine profiles are just grouping of documents that are a category, all in a category, similar things. Or I want to go on the internet and find more of that document. Then I just select which one do I want. Okay, and then away I go. So I'm going to avoid that one right now. And again, I'll jump back to our PowerPoint. And I'm going to say, okay, I want to do the same thing, but I want to give you a clause. So it opens up a concept box and says, give me a concept. So here's that paragraph and a half that I took out of that document a while ago. Then I say, you're going to go against the reads, the knowledge base that we are now in, and we're now in public C2. This is your document number 2 that you had sent to us. So if I now click submit, it will now process those 2 paragraphs to go against everything that is in that database and come back with, where did I find similar clauses? You can see that I've put the clause up in here. It says I found program and administration, which comes from Treasury Board off the internet, which is now in the database. And it says here are all the concepts that are similar between what I put in as a clause and what's in this document. Same thing with that document, same thing with that document. These numbers are percentages of similarity. In other words, anytime above 20%, there's a very good chance you will find most of this statement in the document. And these documents come from, you see, this is the one we are looking at on board. This is already in the system, but the other ones all come from, as you can see, this one down here. We see what's similar, but it comes from a .org somewhere on the internet. And all of these documents were I pre-packaged a while ago by just asking the system, go find me stuff on the internet. But if I've qualified them into my knowledge base, then my system is saying these are the most likely similar document where you will find what you're looking for. And you could see here these 10 results. And what we have here is the knowledge map of these 10 results. So all of this now is active to find, if we're looking for obviously given concepts, then I now have a concept, and what you would need to consider is integrating a keyword search on these files. And that would bring you exactly to the paragraphs that you're interested in. And if I was going to say, let's view in this one, so we're opening up one document just to see all the concept it has. And then again, you would say, okay, if I was trying to get normal public transportation as a phrase, a clause, then I ask, when I put it into the box, this would show up the 2 paragraphs that talk about in this document. These are the 2 paragraphs that talk about normal public transportation. So you've got a quick way of doing it on one document. You have to aggregate every one of the documents in the database. There could be 50 documents that has that concept, and you want just a list of all of the paragraphs. You don't want, you get a list of the documents, but what you really want is to accumulate the number of paragraphs that have, in other words, I want to see it in context of how it was said and in what paragraph. Every time you have a paragraph, like these 2 paragraphs belong to this document up here. So this is what, this is the aggregation of a clause going against existing statements, clauses in your knowledge base. So you can build that up to as many as you want. Okay, now we've just gone through 3 steps here. If I go back to our slide, in this one, we go on the web and we find information. So going on the web or knowledge base by using concept. So the difference here, if I'll click it and come back to, you can see when I click this one, it says choose a file, and then you get a choice of where you go. And if I go back to the other one, if I click this one, well, it says give me a concept. So in other words, fill in the box. So this could be, it could be keywords or a phrase right there if you wish. And then if you go on the internet, then it's it's going to have like thousands of documents to choose from. So it's only going to read whatever is the first 20, 30, 40, depending on what you want to have a setting at, and so on the internet. Keep remembering it's the biggest garbage you'll be able to find, though this is very powerful at finding itself on the web or finding very similar on the web. So very interesting, and one has to play with it to sort of see just how valuable that can become. But when you've got inside knowledge base, which are all the reads, and in this, what I haven't exposed to you is obviously in this grouping, there's 88 documents. So you can see all these documents. And at the bottom, the first two documents I had put in is contract 1 and contract 2, which you had given to us, and that's what I started with. If you see part 1, part 2, all of these are in fact pieces of contract number 1, or maybe it's contract number 2. So if you imagine now those pieces, what did I do with those pieces? I used my discovery, and as you can see, I took part 1, which is a segment, let's say 10 pages of the document, and I said, take that piece of document, which is up here, go on the web and find me similar, and just put it in my knowledge base. And if I go back to discovery, I did the same thing with another section. So you can see here, I've got 4 sections done. Every section has evaluated 10 documents from the web, and every one of them, plus some others, are sitting in our knowledge base. So the same thing with this one. I then can take a section and take that section and ask a question on the inside. And the way I know that it says I took a concept and I went against our documents. In other words, the reads in the system. So this gives you pretty well a heads up on the tool as far as using clauses to find clauses in a existing knowledge base. You have to establish a knowledge base, not difficult to get it started. If you have thousands of documents, then you're going through a process of cleaning up. If I keep going here to just look at a cleanup process, I think it's the other way. So if we quickly go back, here's the process. You've got to extract everything from the repository, and then you go through finding out the duplicates that are in there, which one do you exclude. You build an index, you clean up everything. As you can see, it's, which category are you going to choose to put it in? Because documents are going to show up duplicated in different categories, and it's up to you to decide where you want them. And the system will not care too much about where you put them in different, but you will get a choice as far as category as to which category do you want to go and find similar clauses to what you're looking for. So that is the basic of satisfying the needs with SavvyDox. Okay, that's pretty well the presentation I've kept for that, Jeffrey.